So I'll take a few minutes now and try to summarize and provide some insights from our amazing speakers. But first, I do want to extend my gratitude to His Holiness Pope Francis and the Pontifical Academy of Sciences and Social Sciences for not only convening this important gathering, but for inviting me to chair this really incredible panel that we just had. I am extremely proud to be here today as the administrator of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, known as FEMA, but also as a concerned Catholic, as a concerned grandmother, as a concerned mother, and as the head of our nation's response and recovery, but also resilience agency. I see the effects of the climate crisis each and every day. I would tell you all that the days and the seasons of disaster seasons that we are used to are no more. We, like all of you, are witnessing and working through a year-round disaster landscape that just doesn't seem to stop. And which is why I think that this convening could not have come at a more important time. It's a reminder that we are not alone in the challenges that we're facing, that we are united by a common calling, by a common faith, and a common understanding that the time to fight for the future of our world is today. I'm inspired by the words of Mayor Hidalgo, Governor Hochul, Governor Newsom. Thank you for your wisdom and for sharing your perspectives from Paris, from California, and from New York. It's really astounding to me that we can live oceans apart from one another and yet face such similar challenges every day. So I want to spend the next few minutes talking through the words of our speakers and placing their arguments in the context of what we do at FEMA. We have a saying at FEMA that all disasters start and end at the local level. Local governments, as you heard from Mayor Hidalgo, they are on the front lines of responding to and recovering from climate-driven disasters, which means that they are the best positioned to lead the charge in combating the climate crisis. For cities across America and around the world, what this means to me is we need to invest in resilience. It means building capacity. It means understanding risk at the local level, taking steps to mitigate that risk, and in turn, creating safer communities. Cities like Paris, Boston, or London have taken the charge in this stride, investing in climate mitigation and strategizing to prepare communities before disasters strike. But not all cities have the resources, or the tools, or the political leeway to make these investments, to fund these projects, to push back on powerful lobbyists. That's why capacity building at the local level is so critical. We need the right people sitting at the tables where the decisions are being made. We need emergency managers and climate change experts to make sure our local governments are positioning their communities to not just survive, but to thrive in our changing world. We also need leaders that reflect our communities, reflect the communities that they serve in, because that's how we build trust in our communities. That's how we learn about community-specific barriers, so we can break them down and uplift our neighbors as we chart a path forward. At FEMA, we are committed to rooting our work in equity, in justice, to designing programs with diverse communities in mind, and to leveraging partnerships to lessen the burden for those who need our assistance. We are currently proposing legislation to get more assistance to underserved communities and historically disenfranchised communities faster than ever. We also have an amazing director of faith-based and neighborhood partnerships, Marcus Coleman, who's in the back of the room over there. He helps us reach communities who bear the brunt of the climate disasters. Marcus is here this week, and if you haven't had a chance to talk to him, I've challenged him to try to meet all of you and make many new connections to support our efforts. We are really trying to do our part to create a more just world, where the communities that we serve have equitable access to resources that they need and an equal seat at our table. Now, I know that FEMA is not a subnational government, but I think it's important to have me here to demonstrate our commitment to this work at the federal level. Because if we're going to ask our counterparts, our colleagues, to make big, bold changes, then we should be walking that path with them, helping them to create the tools that they need and making sure that they are usable at the local level. And so when I think about big, bold change, I do think a little bit about Governor Newsom and the extremes that you talked about earlier. And I want to thank you for your remarks, but also for your partnership since I've been in this role at FEMA. Unfortunately, I've had the opportunity to stand beside the governor as you experience devastating wildfires, atmospheric rivers, which I didn't know what they were until I first met you. As you heard, California is a unique state, one that provides a snapshot of the extremes that we face, from flooding to fires, from blizzards to extreme heat. But it's also a state, as you heard, that's leading the effort to combat climate change, pushing back against industries that are driving up the Earth's temperatures. And I think we can all take a lesson from the work that California is doing to invest in climate mitigation and resilience. And we at FEMA are proud to partner with some of these efforts. Like in Mendocino, a county in Northern California that suffered catastrophic losses during the 2020 wildfire season. The fires left burnt homes and ruined businesses in their wake, an experience far too many of you in this room are also experiencing. So FEMA is working with them to build more resilient infrastructure that will withstand future fire events. Or in San Francisco, where we're working together to enhance coastal defenses in one of America's most endangered historic districts. Together, we're raising seawalls and reducing the flood risk for future generations. I give you these examples as His Holiness laid out in the Laudato Si. Combating climate change requires balancing the environment and the social. Yes, we need to get our climate back on track, but we also need to set our communities up for success. We need to be doing what we can to help keep them safe from the threats of tomorrow, today. These are two sides of the same coin, because at the end of the day, this work, all of our work, must be about people. It must be about equity. It must be about justice. We must commit ourselves to reaching everyone in our communities, especially those who are underserved, harder to reach, and the most vulnerable. We must take steps to protect strangers as if they were our neighbors, friends, and loved ones. We must consider their children and their grandchildren as if they were our own, and ensure they too are protected from the effects of climate change. The time to leverage these partnerships in this room is now, because the climate crisis is not just on our doorstep, it is in our homes. And while there are those who continue to deny this crisis, I look around this room here today and I am inspired. I am inspired by the speakers who we'll hear throughout the day who are here to prove them wrong. We are here to share stories. We are here to help paint the picture, to create new partnerships, and to affect real, palpable change. Because this is not a problem that any one of us can solve on our own, nor do we need to. It will require a coalition, a true partnership like that we have in this room here today. So again, I would like to thank Mayor Hidalgo, Governor Newsom, and Governor Hochul for crystallizing the importance of local and state level involvement in this work. And I want to thank the Holy See again for hosting this amazing event, for actively bringing together faith-based, academic, and governmental partners from around the world so we can march forward together toward a cleaner, brighter future. Thank you.